So yesterday, last thing what we discussed was Hinsberg test. Right. Let me just repeat this once again, and then we'll go ahead with the other test. See, Hinsberg test is for identifying primary, secondary, and tertiary amines present. So for different amines, we have different thing to be observed. The reagent which we will take here is benzene sulfonyl chloride. We can take tosyl chloride as well. So either of them will give the same test. Okay. More preferred is tosyl chloride because this methyl would give donating nature, so reaction would be better with this. What we will do, suppose if we have a primary amine and we react that with tosyl chloride. So for instance, if we have uh, RNH2, RNH2 and I am treating that with TSCl. So what we expect is that it will attack on TS and we will get this as RNHTS plus HCl. Okay, this formation RNHTS, right? So this is an amide form, and amide here is an insoluble salt like this, NH double bond O with pH CH3. This is how it is. So this is an insoluble form. So to make it soluble, we use KOH or NaOH. You can use anything. So we can take OH minus, and OH minus will extract this proton. Thereby, it will have an ionic form. This Rn minus S double bond O. Right. So this is PHCH3. Usually, this is how we can write pH. So this is an ionic form, so it gets completely dissolved in this aqueous KOH or NaOH which we are taking. Okay. Now that makes a clear solution. Once we have a clear solution, we will add HCl aqueous. HCl aqueous, what it will do, again nitrogen will take away this proton and becomes an insoluble salt, which is this one, RNHTS. So again we will get N-alkyl sulfamide, tosyl sulfamide, and that would be insoluble, which is a white precipitate what we are saying. So the white precipitate which it is RNHTS. Okay. Now again if I add NaOH, it should become clear solution. What does that mean? Clear solution as in it will become Rn minus double bond O tosyl. Okay. Now this on this clear solution, right? This is a confirmation for primary amine that first starting with tosyl chloride, if I get a precipitate which on reaction with KOH becomes clear solution, then adding HCl should give a white precipitate, and again adding NaOH or KOH, it should become a clear solution. This is an indication, or this is a method for identifying primary amine. For secondary amine, what we will do? Same R2NH on reaction with tosyl, we will get this as R2N S double bond O. Okay, so basically R and R, I'll write this here, double bond O tosyl chloride this way, right? Now if you check out here, there is no hydrogen present on nitrogen. So even if you add OH minus, this OH minus can't make any reaction with this. So after adding KOH, we are still not seeing any change. So which means it is white, which means it is secondary amine, and the white precipitate will remain intact. This is that white precipitate. Tertiary amines, if we see R3N, if we react that with tosyl chloride, we may expect, okay, reaction might happen something like this. We'll have R, N, R and R connected with S double bond O and tosyl plus Cl minus. But the problem is this nitrogen has a positive charge and there is nothing to pull out, or there is no leaving group as such here. So Cl will again attack back here, right, on on sulfur, and this bond will be removed. So we can say as if there is no reaction only happening. So it will always exist like a clear solution only. So this amine adding with this one will always exist like a clear solution. There is no reaction only happening. So this is how we determine 1 degree, 2 degree and 3 degree. Let me repeat once again. 1 degree, first a clear solution, because I am taking these two steps as one, okay? Tosylation as well as KOH. Clear solution, white precipitate, clear solution. Remember that, clear, PPT, clear. While amine, from here PPT and it will stop. Secondary amine is direct PPT formation and stop. Third, always clear, no reaction further that, okay? This is a test. Now, if you see exactly reaction wise, this is what is happening. RNH2 forming this N-alkyl sulfamide, right? So, this is a toluene sulfamide, and if you react that with OH minus, it will remove that H plus and you will get this ion, N-alkyl sulfamide ion, which is soluble salt. That again, if you add with a aqueous HCl, you will get this precipitate back again, right? So to make it clear solution, so I yesterday in the class notes, if you check out, it has been aqueous NaOH or aqueous KOH here, which means it's not giving amine, it is making again a clear solution. So it is a clear solution again, okay? Same way, if you check out for secondary amine, here with TSCl, it is forming this a white PPT, further reaction is not happening. Tertiary TSCl, we may expect this to form, but this would immediately break being unstable. So I'll just write this as unstable form. So immediately it will break and get back to the formation of tertiary amine. Okay. This Hainsberg can also be used as the separation process in case if we have a mixture. Now if we have to separate, how do we use it? We have 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree mixture of amines. We add tosyl chloride. Okay. On adding that, there are two things we can see. In case if there is a filtrate forming, I mean if there is no change, it can be extracted as a filtrate. If there is any PPT forming, you filter that out. Now if on reaction with tosyl chloride, if PPT is forming, definitely it has to be either 1 degree or 2 degree, correct? So what are the formations we will see? We can see that as RNH S double bond O and toluene. This is the one which can form, or R, this double bond O and this. Both of them are white precipitates. So these can form here. Here in tertiary nothing will happen. R3N will remain the same plus TSCl will remain the same, and aqueous TSCl which we are taking, on which R3N will get R3N will be mixed here, and we can remove that as a filtrate. Now we have 3 degree here, that is separated out anyway, we don't have to work out anything for that, correct? So in case if you want to remove out that from TCl, even if it is sparingly mixing, just add some amount of ether to it. So slowly R3N will completely come into the ethereal layer because it is more soluble in ether as compared to aqueous solution. So slowly the entire R3N will come here, TSCl will remain in the aqueous solution. While 1 degree and 2 degree, if you check it out, what was the second step? Adding aqueous KOH. On adding aqueous KOH, if you get a filtrate, which means it is primary amine. If no reaction is happening further, it is secondary amine. So PPT will remain PPT even after adding aqueous KOH, which means it is secondary amine. Suppose from 1 degree amine, in case if you remove the filtrate, what is the next thing we can do? See, this was about just detection. 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree detection, earlier what we have done. Now this is separation. So to completely separate out primary amine, I use concentrated HCl. On adding concentrated HCl, okay, what we might see here, that Rn minus S double bond O this group which is present. In concentrated HCl, it would form RNH H S double bond O and this plus. So this will come out as chlorine minus will attack on it. So we will be able to separate it out as RNH2 plus TSCl. This is what we can do if you have a if you add concentrated HCl. So adding concentrated HCl, these two will be separated out. Here you don't have to add anything actually, just concentrated HCl and you'll get this. And again add it to ether so that slowly primary amine will come into the ethereal layer and aqueous layer will have TSCl. Secondary, since there is no reaction with aqueous KOH, you just add some concentrated HCl. So we would get this as R2, I mean R N R here, S double bond O, phenyl group here. So on adding HCl, we will get this and then Cl minus will attack here, removing this. So we'll get the secondary amine here. So that's how we can get the secondary amine. Add some ether, so it will get back to the ethereal layer. Got it? So that is how we will separate out primary, secondary and tertiary amines. Okay. So two things are being done by Hinsberg test. One is detection, primary, secondary, tertiary. Second thing, we can separate out if it is a mixture. Now coming to the next reaction, that is reaction with HNO2. We have seen the reaction with HNO2 before. We call it as diazotization, where we know that first it will form RNH2 plus. Okay, and RNH2 plus is unstable if it is an alkyl group. You know, if R is alkyl, it is highly unstable, and it will remove out this N2 and come out as carbocation. And since it is an aqueous solution, the major product you will get is usually alcohols, okay, and rearranged alcohols, which means if it, because it is a carbocation, it can undergo rearrangement and it can get to form alcohols. Right. So what we can see, nitrogen gas comes out of it, which tells us that it is a primary amine. Got it? We can just check out the gas amount and identify if nitrogen gas is coming. Definitely, it has to be primary amine. Okay. That is one way of detecting primary amines. Second, if you have secondary amine, what would happen? In case of secondary amine, Na, NO2 and HCl will anyway generate an electrophile NO plus. The lone pair on this will attack here and we will get this as R, N, R, H, N double bond O plus. Okay. So this is in acidic medium, it would remove this H plus and we'll get this as N, R, N double bond O. Okay. If you see, it would have a lone pair resonance here. So we'll have R, N, double bond N and O minus plus. So this compound becomes stable. Got it? So it is a stable compound because it would have resonance stabilization and there is no charge on it. So it is a stable compound and the stable compound appears yellow, oily liquid. Okay. Oily liquid as in it has strong intermolecular forces because of this charge which it has present, and it would have strong attraction between the molecules and it exists like an oily liquid here. Got it? So a yellow oily liquid formation will confirm us that it is a second degree amine. Okay. Next, uh, if we check out for third degree amine. Okay. In case of third degree amine, that is NaNO2 aqueous HCl dilute. When we take this, we will get this as R, N, R, R connected with N double bond O because the electrophile which you are generating is N double bond O. Okay, this plus and we have Cl minus in here. Got it? this is like a positive charge. I mean, these two are ions which will be dissolved, which will be dissolved in aqueous solution, and it is not giving any gas as such. So first 1 degree, if we check out 1 degree amine, it is confirmed that a gas is released and we can see alcohols are formed eventually. Here in second degree amine, a thick yellow oily substance pigmentation will come here, which suggests that it is a secondary amine. So in case of third degree amine, we will only see a soluble salt form here. Okay, in aqueous solution, no gas is released, so which means it is a tertiary amine. Okay, I guess this point is clear. So with nitrous acid, we can also use nitrous acid as the test for primary, secondary and tertiary amines. Now, coming to some examples, especially when you have primary amines, that is been asked like what could be the products that are formed, number of products. We have seen this similar question before also in alcohols. You see, in primary amine, after reacting with NH2, after reacting with NaNO2, we will get diazonium ion here, right? In aqueous solution, we know that it can form various alcohols here. First alcohol that could form be this, which means we are expecting that without rearrangement, right? Without rearrangement, what all things carbocation can do. So this carbocation can be treated in aqueous solution to get alcohol. The same time we can get chlorides, got it? It can be water can act like a base and remove the proton and make alkene formation. And since we have some NO2 present in the solution, we might also get this as O and double bond O. Okay, so this compound will also be formed here. Got it? Now, in case if it is rearranged, after rearrangement also we will have products. So after rearrangement, we can have products as secondary alcohol, secondary alkyl chloride here, and secondary ON, nitro. Okay, alkyl nitride basically. So these are the compounds which you can have. Okay. Other than this, we can also have ethers. How are ethers formed here? Check it out. If you check out the secondary amine here, with and without rearrangement, so let's say we have carbocation formation here. So with whatever alcohol that has been forming, it can undergo ester formation with this. So this oxygen can attack here on this carbon and makes this ether formation. And same way the secondary alcohol which has formed, that can again connect here, right? So to get an ether like this, so we can get this ether, right? So if you connect this pi bond, I mean this lone pair connecting here, we'll get the same product here, same ether formation. And if you have both, you know, at the secondary position, then the ether which is formed would be this one. So you can see three different types of ethers can also be forming as minor products. Okay, so these are all the products we can have, and normally we'll see this chlorides and nitriles, they will all convert into alcohols only, because solvent effect will be seen, which means solvolysis will be seen, and you will see mostly alcohol formation. That's why we say major product is alcohols. Okay, but in case if you were asked which of the following or the products that can be appearing, so you can see that these three and these three, these are these products which you can have. Okay, now other than this, it could be straight away asked, this question has been asked many a times, so and we've been discussing a lot of times. In case if you have a cycloalkyl amine on reaction with NaNO2, diazonium salt formation here. So one, we can get an alcohol like this. This was found to be around 47%, and since it is forming through carbocation, ring compression can take place and then OH can come here, which is around 48%. plus this formation is same, OH. Got it? See, normally this carbocation is very stable. Like if you check out, this carbocation is very stable, right? But in case of this here, it appears that although this carbocation is not stable, we are saying that percentage, amount is more here. This comes with the solvent effect, ion tight ion pair effect, that if you have group leaving from here itself, got it? So it will have quite delta positive charge here and N2 plus which is leaving, right? So immediately water will start attacking on delta positive. So we will see, quite an amount of H2O is forming here. Got it? If you remember, we have discussed this in SN1 mechanism. Why inverse is slightly more favored than the inversion is more favored than the retention in solubilisis because of tight ion pair effect. So the same thing will happen because of tight ion pair effect here. As N2 start leaving here, before even it gets rearranged, water will start attacking on this. So that's why you'll see percentage is quite comparable between cyclobutyl alcohol and CPM alcohol. Okay. Next, if you see in this case the same diazotization in case of secondary amines here. Primary amines will get the same reaction, aniline here, but in case if it is N alkyl aniline, right, and we have NO being the electrophile here, right, if you remember, the lone pair still has enough basicity or enough nucleophilicity on it that it will attack on NO here, got it? And we will get a product like this, N double bond O with methyl group on it, okay? And this would be yellow oily solution. But if the number of alkyl groups keeps increasing here, the attack from this lone pair towards N becomes slightly difficult, and that's when electrophilic aromatic substitution is more favorable here. So you will see major product to be this one, N methyl, and N double bond O. And moreover, even if you come across NO here, this will exist like a plus form, carbocation form. So that will have enough repulsions between these methyl groups. Correct? I meant to say this one, N methyl, methyl, N double bond O plus. So you can see a lot of bulky groups around it. So this formation won't be stable here. Correct? So instead of that, it will prefer to go for electrophilic aromatic substitution. So important between these two, what products are to be favored, just check out carefully. Right. So this is about nitrous acid and their reactions, their tests, okay, how it is done. Next, the other method by which we can identify, detect primary, secondary and tertiary amines is Hofmann method. Hofmann method will take diethyl oxalate, okay, so we are taking diethyl oxalate and treat that with primary, secondary and tertiary amines. In case of primary amine, what has been found, let's see. Right. So in case of primary amine, we have seen that this forms CO, let me write the complete structure, C double bond O, NHR here, and C double bond O, NHR is formed. On both the side, the ethoxy group will remove, and that would be connected by this NHR. This appears to be white solid form, so which means it is getting precipitated. So primary amine on treating with diethyl oxalate will get precipitated. While R2NH with COET, right? If you react here, this will get as C double bond O N R2, and only one side it will get connected. Okay. Reason could be steric factors. Got it? There are no specific reasons as is mentioned, but only reason you can see it steric factors, because this is a bulky nucleophile. One mole has attacked here. Attacking the second mole will make it very bulky on the other side. So uh, it will restrict the attack of this R2NH. This appears to be liquid. Got it? So this appears to be liquid instead. Got it? And this would be thick liquid, viscous liquid. And when it comes to tertiary amines, no reaction. So this confirms that there is a presence of primary, secondary or tertiary amines. This is Hoffman's method. Hoffman's method can also be used for separation, just like Hinsberg's method. So first you can see all are liquids here. You react with COET, which is diethyl oxalate, okay, and heat it. Got it? So in all of these cases, heat is mandatory, heat is needed. Okay. On heating, in case if we get filtrate, got it? In case if we get filtrate, that could be secondary or tertiary. If it is PPT, definitely it has to be primary. React this alkyl N-alkyl amides here, and alkyl diamide with NaOH, that RNH2 will come out and this will appear to be salt here. Okay, oxalate, sodium oxalate will be formed. Here, once you get this, distillate this by heating. Got it? Because of this thick solution here, this will take more amount of temperature, which means boiling point would be more for this. R3N can be fractionalized easily, and fraction 2 which is remained would be of secondary amine. React that with NaOH, will get secondary amine, and fraction what we got would be only tertiary amine. Okay. So this is the way we can use it as separation. This is not in JEE syllabus as such. Once there was a form used, what is Hoffman method. Just remember it is also used for separation of amines. That's all you need to know. Okay. Next, Hoffman mustard oil reaction. This is important for mains exams. Hoffman mustard oil reaction is reacting with CS2, sodium disulfide, in case if it is primary amine. Okay, you can see that. Let me show the mechanism first. You can see that lone pair will attack on carbon here. This bond will come here, so we will get this as R, NH, C, double bond S and SH. Okay, so this S minus will fetch this proton, so we will get this as R, NH, C double bond or SH. This if you treat with HgCl2, HgCl2, what it will do, Hg2 plus will take away the sulfide and gets to form a black precipitate H2S. Okay, which means you can imagine this way, that this SH and H will come out as H2S, and that H2S on reaction with HgCl2 will form HgS and 2 moles of HCl. Okay, and rest of the molecule which is there, R, N, double bond C, double bond S. Okay, so this is like a isocyanate, thioisocyanate. So this will form this thioisocyanate, which will smell like a mustard oil, right? And that's a confirmation when the smell of mustard oil comes, right? So which confirms it is a primary amine. Okay, so let me write down that here. So the formation what you will see here is R, NH, C double bond S and SH, which is N-alkyl thiocarbonic acid. That on treatment with HgCl2 is forming this isocyanate, thioisocyanate, Rn double bond C double bond S. Okay, which smell like mustard oil. Now, in case of secondary amine, In case of secondary amine with CS2, we will see first the formation of this, because lone pair will attack here and S minus will take away this proton and we will get this. But after that, if you want to react with HgCl2, it doesn't come as H2S because there is no hydrogen here, so it won't desulfonate. Just think as if we are to remove that H2S. So since there is no hydrogen, further reaction is not seen. Okay, single bond here. Yeah. Right. Next, in case of tertiary amines, if it is tertiary amines, no reaction will take place. R3N, so 3 degree, 2 degree. So no reaction will happen here. So this, see, we can't distinguish between 2 and 3, right? So that's why Hoffman mustard oil is only used for primary amines, only to detect 1 degree amine, just like carbonyl amine test. Just like carbonyl amine test, this is also used for determining 1 degree amines. I hope all of you understood that. Okay. These are all repetitive reactions which you have seen earlier. Hoffman exhaustive elimination. Basically, if you have any amines, the lone pair present on amines will keep on attacking alkyl halides till it becomes quaternary ammonium salt. So, as long as you provide excess amount, it will go through SN2 mechanism and you will get this tertiary ammonium salt plus and this and I minus. This is what you will get. When you treat that with AgOH, right, AgI will get immediately precipitated and OH minus will attack as a base. Now when OH minus is attacking as a base, it will look out to extract the proton from the beta position. So you can see these are the two beta carbons and beta hydrogens present. So if OH has to extract proton, right, it can extract from here or it can extract from here. If it extracts from here, the alkene which will be formed will be at this alpha beta here, or if it extracts from here, it will be on this side. So OH minus extracting proton from this terminal carbon will make a double bond here. That will be Hoffman product, right? So you can see that we will get this as Hoffman product. Okay, and Hoffman product here is the major product. Okay, why it is major product? You can see that this NME3, while removing, it doesn't come at the same time while OH minus is removing H plus. So it will slowly depart out. So it is giving a characteristic for this carbon which is getting a delta negative charge. So you will see some delta negative character will be created on this beta carbon. So you have to check out both these beta carbons which has more delta negative charge. The one which more delta negative would be more stable. So this carbon will have will be more stable with delta negative. So OH minus will extract proton from here, and that's how we'll get Hoffman as the major product. Okay, and the mechanism here is driven by E2 only. So E2 mechanism, right? Next, similar Hoffman product can also be achieved by Cope's elimination. So when it comes to Cope elimination, this is a syn elimination where we need to have 3 degree amine oxide. So first we make a 3 degree amine here, like N and this R group here, R dash and R double dash. 3 degree amine, if you treat with any peroxy acids, okay, or any oxidizing agents, we would usually get this as O minus, that is amine oxide. So it is a 3 degree amine oxide. Amine oxides on heating would give this eliminated product which is Hoffman major. Okay. So how does it happen? See, imagine by this oxidation we got this amide oxide. This amine oxide on heating we have to check out the alpha beta positions here. This is alpha, this is beta. So this O minus will extract proton from this beta, and we will get this as PH CH double bond CH2 plus N Me, okay, CH2 CH3 and OH. The beta is present here also. It could have extracted hydrogen from here as well. So we just have to check out again the uh, what do you say, stability of carb anion as well as bulkiness. If you check it out, this is less bulky, this is less bulky here. I mean, sorry, this side is more stable carb anion here. So you will check out on both sides here. This would be more stable alkene which you can get. So this would be major product. Okay. Now how does this happen? Check it out. PHCHH CH2N Me, and this is O minus which is there. It will extract proton from here. Double bond will close here, and this sigma bond will break as lone pair, and that's how we will get this as major product. So you have already studied about Hofmann exhaustive elimination and Cope's elimination. So both of these reactions will happen this way. Always look out for Hofmann as the major product. Okay. All the questions related to that I have put it on the question, assignment sheet. So you just solve them. Next, let us see how does amines react with FeCl3. Suppose if I take FeCl3 and aqueous amine, okay, so I have added this amine in water and then I have treating with FeCl3. Then amines will act like a Bronsted acid with water here, Bronsted bases with water here, and extract proton. So which means this CH3CH2 from this lone pair, it will extract proton, and you will have CH3 NH2 NH3 plus and OH minus. Although equilibrium will be mostly on the back side, okay, will be mostly on the reverse direction here, backwards here, but this can be enhanced if this OH minus is consumed, and that can happen in the presence of Fe plus 3. So if you have Fe plus 3, this OH minus can be consumed and we can get a precipitate, FeOH thrice brown precipitate, right? So that's when this amines can act like a good Bronsted basis, generate OH minus, and will get this precipitate. So what will be the final product in here? If you see, we will have FeOH thrice, which is the brown precipitate. Along with that, we would have 3 moles of CH3 NH3 plus and 3 moles of Cl minus. Okay, basically like a salt form here. So this is the reaction which happens with FeCl3. Okay. Next, let's see reaction with AgCl. So amines, when we treat with AgCl, how the reaction proceeds. AgCl gets dissolved in any form of amines, correct? So up to tertiary not so great, but primary, even ammonia, primary, secondary, it will have good amount of dissolution, which means AgCl will react with MeNH2, that is primary amine, to form a complex. So we'll have Ag MeNH2, okay, X and Cl minus, and this is a soluble complex. So this is a soluble complex. Okay. Next, let us see reaction with metals. Amines, if you especially primary and secondary amines, if you react with sodium metal, this hydrogen is protic, so we will have NH minus Na plus, releasing out H2 gas. Same thing will happen here also, Rn2 minus Na plus, releasing out H2 gas. So these are 3 simple reactions. You can just revise once. One with FeCl3, AgCl, and sodium metal. What are the reactions we can see? Okay, this one is an oxidation reaction. How the oxidation happens in case of KMnO4, right, or the ones which are similar to KMnO4. So KMnO4, acidic or basic medium and heat, in both the cases we will get a product as acid here, double bond O. It is with primary amine, you see that it is 1 degree amine. Just a brief idea about the mechanism is like, with respect to this NH2, this is the alpha carbon. Alpha carbon will have an hydrogen here. So this hydrogen is a must. So on this hydrogen, we can expect that the insertion of oxygen can take place, and we can have something like OH and NH2 formation here. And this OH and H on heating will come out as water and creates an imine group. And that's how an imines are formed. See, NH imines are formed. Imines, on hydrolysis will break. We have discussed this before. Imines on hydrolysis, any C double bond N for that matter on hydrolysis will break, and we will get an aldehyde form here, right? And aldehydes will undergo further oxidation in the presence of KMnO4 and finally becomes acid. I hope this point is clear. So primary amines would react in this fashion. So imagine always like formation of an imine, and from there rest of the story is the same. Now suppose if there is no hydrogen here, if there is a hydrogen, it can end up, if there is only two hydrogens, which means it will form aldehyde, eventually acid. If there is one hydrogen, it will form ketone. If at alpha position there is no hydrogen, only this NH2 will get oxidized, and we can see that insertion will only happen between N and H here. We will get this as NO2. Get this as NO2. Secondary amine. So in case of secondary amine, when you treat that with KMnO4, okay, imagine 2 moles of this secondary amine, coming close together with the nascent hydrogen, and these two hydrogens and oxygen will be dehydrated, and we will get a product where you have NN linkages like this and this. This will be the final product. So coupling is observed in case of secondary amines. Okay. Next, in case of tertiary amines we just discussed, whether you take peroxy acids, H2O2 or any oxidizing agents, it will give amine oxide. So we will get R, N, R, R and O minus. This is amine oxide. So in case of tertiary, we will get amine oxides. So I hope you understood what is the oxidation reactions. Right. Now let's focus on aniline reactions. Aniline preparation is something which we have already seen before, right? We have seen that by nitros to, we have seen that from NO2 changing to NH2 using lot of reducing agents with nascent hydrogens, correct? Like SnCl2 in HCl, Fe in HCl. So all of them will give this amine forms. So this aniline, if you treat with different reactants or different reagents, let's see what are the products forming. In case if you react with sodium, here also because of its protic hydrogen present, we will see you can have NH minus, Na plus half H2. This is the product form. Okay. Next, in the presence of CH3I excess, okay, so it will form a salt which is N, Me thrice plus and I minus. In case if you have CH3CO, acetylation will take place and NH2 will attack on that CH3CO to form NH, C double bond O, CH3, acetanilide will form. Okay. In case of aniline, one important reaction is oxidation. Got it? Now oxidation using KMnO4, K2Cr27 or concentrated HNO3, all of them will lead to quinones. They'll always lead to formation of quinones. So which means, suppose if at all I have NH2 or if at all I have OH, both of them will also give the same product. Or if at all I have any combination of both, let's say I have combination of NH2 and OH, got it? This would also give the same product. Even if you have, quinol of this form, right? Even if I told I have aminoaniline or di diamine benzene. So in all of these cases, we'll always get the product as quinone. Okay. This is just remember, no mechanisms needed for this. Okay. Right. Next important reaction of aniline is the electrophilic aromatic substitution. Right. We'll see bromination first. See, generally if temperature is not given, we will say that Br2 in CS2 or Br2 in water, in all the cases it would go for heavy substitution on all ortho and para positions. But in case if it is operated at less than 5 degrees and it is specifically mentioned, then it will give only ortho or para product. Okay, alright. But if nothing is mentioned, temperature is not mentioned, always take this, or greater than 5 degrees always going to be 2,4,6 tribromo aniline. Bromine water would anyway be rich with Br plus, polarized Br plus, and even in basic medium also Br plus would be sufficiently available, so that would always give bromination at 2,4,6 position. Okay. Once there was a mechanistic steps asked in the exam, this we have discussed before also if you recall, where these steps were given and we need to identify correct steps or not. Okay. Anyone has a doubt, beta? Okay. So the lone pair, how do we usually see the mechanism? The lone pair will support as the resonance towards benzene, and this pi will shift here and this will attack on bromine, Br minus will come. So we will get this as the arrhenium complex, right? So this arrhenium complex will keep changing into various resonating forms where positive charge can be here, it could be here, it could be here, right? Now all those canonicals will have a hybrid of arrhenium complex here. Then to retain the aromaticity, okay, the bond will break here, this pi will shift and this pi will become lone pair. So we would get this as NH2, aromaticity is retained here with bromine substitution. Imagine the same thing happening at other ortho and para positions. Okay. Right, so that is about bromination. Next, nitration. So in case of nitration, see, when you treat with concentrated HNO3 in trying to generate NO2 plus electrophile, NO2 electrophile, before it can even react on any part of benzene, we have concentrated H2SO4 in the solution, which makes this aniline, although it is a poor base, it will make this to get protonated. So the lone pair present on aniline will accept this proton and gets protonated. Okay, and this protonated aniline, right, will be in equilibrium with aniline and H plus. Okay, now on this system we are sending NO2 plus. Okay, so this is a highly deactivated ring while this is an activated ring. So NO2 can attack on both the sides. Quantity wise if you check, right, because we are taking concentrated H plus, so we will have quite a good quantity of anilinium ion. So this anilinium ion, right, which is withdrawing is meta-directoring. So we will have some meta-directoring product as well as para-directoring product. Ortho-directing product will be relatively less because of crowding. Okay. So you can see what do we have here, NO2 with 2 percentage and meta product around 47 percentage and para product around 51 percentage. Okay, so for this product to become almost for, I mean, to a very significant amount is because of this deactivating nature. Okay, everybody got that? What happens in nitration now? Okay, see the compound here now. First, if you take NH2 and treat with anhydride, okay, in the presence of pyridine, right, what we can expect? The entire idea here is to reduce the activating or deactivating nature of NH2. So if you get this, this is acetylation done. Okay, so acetanilide is formed, and now if you see oxygen, nitrogen is making cross conjugation on both the sides, so its availability of lone pair is hardly seen, and ring is, you know, relatively activated now. So now when you treat concentrated HNO3, this time you will see it would undergo electrophilic aromatic substitution at para position giving NO2, and then treat with NaOH once again. So this group will leave, CH3COOH, O minus will form, and this will get NH2. So you get NH2, NO2 plus CH3CONA plus. So these are the products formed. So in case if you specifically want only para nitro to be major, then acetylation has to be done first. Right. The next reaction for anilines is sulfonation. In sulfonation, we have been seeing this same thing. Again, you are treating with concentrated H2SO4, so the lone pair on that will extract the proton and will have NH3 plus, right, which will appear like a salt here, NH3 plus and HSO4 minus. This on heating, this SO3, HSO4 will give us SO3, and SO3 as an electrophile will attack on this ortho and para positions. Alright, so it would have this ortho and para positions to get sulfonalic acids here. Okay, here NH3, if you check out NH2SO3 and NH3SO3 here, I mean to say first this one, NH3 HSO4 minus plus equilibrium with NH2 SO3 plus H2O. Okay, on heating. Got it. On heating, we would get something like this, where SO3 will get attacked on ortho and para positions. Right. Now, once you get this SO3 here, right, what we will observe that we have NH2 and SO3H final products, right? On this, sorry, on this, if you check it out, this is an acid, this is an acid, and this is a base. NH2 is a base. So internally, acid-base reaction can take place, and it will exist as NH3 plus and SO3 minus. So which is what we call it as Zwitter ion. So within the molecule, it will exist as a Zwitter ion or dipolar ion or internal salt. Okay. So therefore, this would sulfonalic acids, all sulfonalic acids usually exist as Zwitter ions. Okay. So that is a sulfonation which you will see. Okay, right. In case if we take Zwitter, that is sulfonalic acid, parasulfonalic acid, and react with NH3 and heat, okay, this SO3H first, the minus will extract, this OH which is formed here. Let me show in the other form, which is NH2 S double bond O and OH. This is in the other form. Now imagine as if this hydrogen and NH2. Dehydration is taking place, just like esterification. Okay, so this H2O is lost here and NH2 gets connected. So what do we have? We have sulfamide. We have double bond O, NH2 and NH3 here, right? So we have sulfan aniline with amide group. So that's why it is called sulfanilamide. So it is sulfanilamide. Sulfanilamide is the one which is used as the sulfur drug for antimicrobial treatments. Right. So once in JEE mains, it was asked like which of the following are sulfur drugs. So for sulfur drugs, you find out first, this is NH2. Find out this, sulfamide connected with this aniline. They will be used as sulfur drugs. I hope you guys understood that what is nitration and what is sulfonation in anilines. Next, in anilines, we will see Friedel-Crafts reactions. When it comes to Friedel-Crafts reactions, see what we are expecting is that aniline will react with CH3Cl here, got it? Either it should get at ortho and para position here, but this reaction doesn't take place because the lone pair on aniline will first get treated with AlCl3 because this is a Lewis acid. Okay, so the lone pair will be attacked on the empty orbitals of AlCl3 and it will form this complex which is a strongly deactivating group now. So this has become a strongly deactivating group, and since it is deactivating, further reaction with CHCl3 will not be processed. So we won't see any Friedel-Crafts reactions with anilines. Next important reaction is diazotization. Again, these are all repetitive reactions, so focus this again. Check. When it comes to NH2, sorry, NH2. When it comes to aniline, when we treat that with NaNO2 concentrated HCl at around 0 to 5 degrees, first we will get diazo product which is benzene diazonium chloride here. Benzene diazonium chloride, as long as you maintain below 5 degrees centigrade, it will be very stable. In fact, if you consider the stability of benzene diazonium chloride as compared to that of any alkyl diazonium chloride, it is highly stable. The reason for the stability comes with the fact that this pi will support as resonance stabilization with N triple bond N here. So you will have this form with plus and plus here, minus here. So you will have this conjugation within the diazonium salt. So this partial double bond character between carbon and nitrogen, don't let it break at lower temperatures. Okay. So which means if at all we have any groups which are trying to donate the electrons towards N2, that will even stabilize this nature. So if at all I have these compounds, like these are all different diazonium salts, this is para-nitro, para-methoxy, para-methyl, and all of these are diazonium salts. Now in this, if you check out the stability, the one which is most donating, right, most donating will have more stable diazonium form. So here you can see OCH3 is donating by both plus M as well as minus I, right, but its plus M is much more effective here, but here NO2 is highly withdrawing by both minus I and minus M. Methyl is donating by plus inductive effect and plus I. So in all of these cases, you can check out that C is better than B, is better than A, is better than D. So that's how the stability of diazonium salts would be. Okay. So one thing, if you heat it, definitely diazoniums are highly unstable. Okay. Now normally, if you see on this side of the reactions here, correct, this side, these are all SN1 type reactions. Okay, normally favored with some temperature. So which means as soon as you heat it, first it will convert into carbocation, right, and ArSN1 can happen, aromatic SN1 type, which means on the carbocation we'll see water will attack on that. Got it? Now in case of methanol and ethanol, it has been observed slightly different. In methanol, we might even see methoxy group here as well as an alkene, which is benzene here. These two can be appeared. Okay, so the major product is being this one. Here the major product is this one. Got it? In case of ethanol, it all depends on temperature. You know, if you start heating more, alkene is favored. If the temperature is less, then ethers are favored. Okay. NCRT temperature doesn't mention, but they have directly given this as a major product. Okay, I have taken this data at around 50 degrees centigrade. At 50 degrees centigrade, it is found to be around 51% and 6%. But possibly on higher temperature, this percentage is increasing. That is why NCRT is taken this as the major product. That is benzene as the major product. Okay. So please go as per NCRT. You know. So both can be formed, but uh, alkenes are more favorable. Acha. Now what is happening? ETOH is actually giving a hydrogen here, right? Okay, it is giving a hydride here eventually, and then it is getting oxidized. So basically, you are getting CH3CHO as the oxidized product here. So ethanol is getting oxidized to acetaldehyde, while diazonium chloride is getting reduced to benzene. Okay. Now, if you see on this side, all of this would happen with set mechanism, that is single electron transfer. So if you take H3PO2, Na2SnO2, right, Sandmeyer's, Gattermann reactions, all of them will give single electron and try to make a radical here, and then a hydrogen radical will get added up. That's how they'll either get a benzene form or a halogen form here. Okay. Let's see how that mechanism happens. Suppose if at all I take here diazonium salt, first we'll take H3PO2. Okay, this is H3PO2. So in case of H3PO2, okay, what we can expect here is that first this X minus which is present, correct? Yeah. See, first this X minus which is present here, this will try to attack on oxygen and phosphorus trying to get that negative charge on it. Okay, but as sir, how this X minus is attacking on oxygen directly instead of phosphorus? Got it? Well, it can attack on phosphorus also, but in diazonium chloride, it has been seen they happen in a very closed network, which means it's not like they are far away molecules. They would be very close, as if a concerted step is happening. So X minus attacking here, basically the pi bond shifting onto phosphorus, but it won't get a negative charge as such. So what you can say that the electron has been left over with benzyl group, phenyl group here, got it? N2 has left, and whatever that electron which is coming on phosphorus, that has been donated. So you will see this form immediately, got it? So as if we will have this OX bond and this pi bond which is forming here, the phosphorus which is supposed to get minus, which means 2 electrons. Imagine one electron is found on phenyl ring and one electron is found on phosphorus. So this is how the radical is formed. Okay, and this radical which is present and phosphorus radical which is present here now, they will terminate with hydrogen here, got it? And as soon as we get that, this pi will shift here and oxygen will close as double bond. Okay, oxygen will close as double bond here. So we will get this as phosphorus with X, H, OH and double bond O. This is what we will get. And this phenyl group, phenyl radical and hydrogen will terminate to form benzene. Got it? Again, this mechanism is not there in your syllabus. All you need to know is that it is happening through a single electron transfer. That's all you need to know. Okay. Next, if you see the similar mechanism in Sandmeyer's, you can see CuX will have one electron on it because its configuration okay, because its configuration is supposed to be 4s1 3d10, right? Got it. So we know that 4s1 and 3d10 has been come here. So imagine one of the electrons present in copper here, right? That is the one which is been donated here, and x minus is removed. uh, First we will have this as x minus is removed, and this phenyl group will have this dot on it. Okay, phenyl group will get, sorry, this will have dot, sorry, here on nitrogen, not on phenyl, on the nitrogen, because nitrogen was getting that positive charge. Now nitrogen has this positive charge. Let me show you the structure here. We have n triple bond n with plus, right? So imagine an electron is left over here with nitrogen, so the charge has been lost with it. Got it? And this pi bond will shift on to nitrogen here. So we will have this as minus. Okay, so imagine it this way. Now, once you get this, here this will make a single electron transfer. Nitrogen will take away its single electron from it and escapes out as N2 gas. From here we can see it is becoming Ar dot plus N2 gas. Correct. Now once you have that, this X minus, right, because now copper has got positive charge on it, as it has lost its electron completely, and X minus which has left earlier will be acting on CuX, and we will get CuX2 formation. So in short, CuX, which has +1 oxidation state, has converted into +2 oxidation state. Okay, and Ar dot, which is present here, got it, will react with the halide here and gives electron back to copper, and therefore it retains back its oxidation state, and ArX is formed finally. So CuX is used like a catalyst here. Finally we will get this halogen substituted. Okay, so this is also done by radical mechanism. So this is single electron transfer which is happening. Okay, everybody understood that? Right, check this out. These reactions are further continued if you take NaBF4. These are all heat reactions. These two are heat reactions. This two doesn't even require heat. Got it? So basically NaBF4 or this, if you react, definitely we will have a carbocation formation as we are heating it, and on that carbocation F minus will attack on it. Okay, see the mechanism here. So first, while heating, N2 is lost, phenyl carbocation is formed, right? F minus will attack here, and we will get this as fluorobenzene here with BF3. The same thing can be seen with HPF6 here. So HCl will leave on heating, we will get N2 plus PF6 minus, and from there N2 will leave here and we will get PF5, and fluorine get substituted there. Okay. The first reaction where we use NaBF4, that is called Boltzmann reaction. With Ki, only by shaking with the diazonium chloride solution in the test tube, you can simply get iodobenzene. Same is the case with KNO2. We will get benzyl, I mean phenyl nitrile. Got it? So we will get that with KNO2. Have you understood these mechanisms? Last one in this chapter is about diazocoupling. Diazocoupling also something which we have seen earlier, where if we have a strong donating groups, like you can see OH, NH2, these are all very strong donating groups and they will highly activate the benzene ring. So these groups, when you treat with benzene diazonium chloride, okay, this diazonium ion can be treated as an electrophile. This will act like an electrophile, and electrophilic aromatic substitution can take place from this. and we will get this product. Okay, and that product is called diazo compound. Now same we may think like, you know, OCH3 is also donating, and PNH2, if at all it reacts, we should get a product. But due to resonance stabilization in PNH2, in diazonium ion, it always be like a weak electrophile. So for weak electrophiles, we need very highly activated rings, which can be done by groups like OH and NH2, not OCH3. So if you see the electron donating nature, NH2 is better than OH than OCH3. Okay, so these two would definitely make a reaction as compared to that of OCH3. There is a other way by which we can make the reaction to happen, that increasing its electrophilicity. Got it? If at all I have to increase its electrophilicity, I have to add as many withdrawing groups as possible on this. Suppose if we have N2 triple bond N plus, and if at all I have a withdrawing group like NO2 here, that would increase its electrophilicity more. So thereby any nucleophile like benzene or methoxy group, anything that will attack on this nitrogen at a better rate. Okay, so which means we can do this reaction, diazo coupling can be done by two ways. One, by increasing electrophilicity of the diazonium ion. Second, by increasing the nucleophilicity, that is by adding strong donating groups on benzene. That is another way by which we can get the diazonium product. Okay, for instance, if you check out the reactivity of these four, NO2, so many withdrawing groups will make it highly electrophilic in nature. So this is the reactivity order or electrophilicity order. Same way, if you see the nucleophilicity of these four groups, which of these four will be strongly donating? We can see here O minus will be strongly donating as compared to OMe, then CH3 and benzene. Okay, so this would have very high reactivity, right, with diazonium salts, and this can also show high reactivity with any form of that benzene. Okay, so for instance, if we only react with simple diazonium salt with anisole, reaction won't take place. But in case if at all I have 2,4-dinitro diazonium salt, okay, then reaction will happen because now its electrophilicity has increased. Okay, so electrophilicity of diazonium salt has increased. So this time I will definitely get a product, and we'll get this as N double bond O, N double bond N, connected from the para side of OMe. So this will be the diazo product. N double bond N with both side alkyl groups or aryl groups, that is called diazo. Okay. Next, if you want to react even with benzene, which does not have this is not a great activated ring, but in case if you have strong withdrawing groups here like NO2 on all 2, 4, 6 position, that will be sufficiently activated to make this reaction to happen, and we'll have N double bond N and pH. This is what you will get. Okay. Similarly, if at all I react that with mesitylene also, right, with mesitylene also, on this position we can get N double bond N and this. Although it is very crowded, the electrophilicity of NO2 is, diazonium salt is so high that you will be able to see an azo product. And all azo products are colored. If you see all the azo products, they are diazo products, they are all colored. In case if I take the nucleophile as beta naphthol, we will get a red color dye. If we take phenol, we will get an orange color dye. If we take aniline, we will get a yellow color dye. We have discussed that BPA ROY, right? This is beta naphthol, phenol and aniline. This is red, orange and yellow. Other colors not there in the syllabus. At least these three colors you must be remembering. Okay. Right. Now, if we slightly go through the mechanism for it, let us see what is there in here. Phenols we have already discussed about how the diazonium salt is formed. So phenols when you treat that with diazonium ion, we usually require mildly alkaline medium, right, around 8 to 10 pH. Okay, the reason for that is, suppose if at all I take acidic might do two things. Okay, it might directly react on lone pair here and makes it OH2 plus. Okay, or that H plus got it, that where is that, yeah, sorry, that is about H plus. If at all I take strongly basic like OH minus, okay, OH minus is good because OH minus can increase the nucleophilicity of phenol and make it phenoxide, right? But the problem is, if at all I take strong basic solution, this OH minus can directly be attacking on this diazonium salt and it can form this, right? And this is called diazotic acid. So instead of actually coupling reaction, we will only see this OH minus attacking here and forming this diazotic acid. So that's why highly basic or strongly basic has to be avoided. Strongly acidic needs to be avoided so that we do not hamper the nucleophilic nature of this phenol. Okay. So mild alkaline is most favorable. Now, while coupling, para is usually more favored than ortho because of steric factors. Now, if we keep slightly alkaline, the advantage is the phenol can become phenoxide, and phenoxide will have much more reactivity as compared to simple phenols. Suppose if para is already blocked by some other group, then ortho will be attacked. So which means, if at all I have a reactant like this, where we have phenol here, right, with some methyl group here, then also diazonium reaction will take place, but this time it happens at ortho position. Okay, so even if there is one more methyl group, still the reaction will take place. But if you have all three methyl groups here, now there is no reaction with diazonium salt. Okay, now see how the mechanism is happening. OH minus will extract the proton from phenol, create phenoxide ion, and phenoxide ion from the para position will attack here, right, and we will start getting this product here. Got it? Now if you observe this here, slowly you can see this rearrangement is happening. We'll get this arenium ion. Okay guys, I hope you understood that. Okay, once you get this, if you observe, this is a neutral molecule. Got it? So double bond is closed here, this double bond has closed here, right? So this is a neutral molecule. This can be stabilized, but aromaticity will be retained in the case if we have phenols. So phenols are going to be more stable in enol form, right? So it will retain its enol form and H plus will be lost here, and thereby you will get this. Yeah, and we are anyway using slightly basic medium, so that would help this H plus to relieve out sooner, and thereby we'll get the phenoxide ion, and then on hydrolysis we'll get this, which is an orange dye. Okay, the same thing was discussed before in phenol, so just revise that once again. Yeah, what we haven't discussed much is the coupling of aniline. Okay, we just know that it will happen. Are there any special conditions here is what we will see right now. Just give me 2 minutes, I'll be done with this. Yeah. Now check this. First, in the mechanism steps, what we can observe, the available lone pair which is present on nitrogen will always be reactive with electrophiles usually, and that is why we have seen Friedel-Crafts reaction is also not happening in general, or any other reactions for that matter. Electrophiles can be approached by nitrogen here. So first we will see nitrogen will attack on the benzene diazonium salt here, right? It has a triple bond, right? So this bond will shift here, and we will get this form here. H plus will be lost, so here H plus is lost. Got it? And we will get this form here. So if you observe carefully, let me use another color. Yeah, if you observe carefully, we have N and N coupling happened here. Okay, check this carefully. First we had N and N coupling. Okay, now if the acidic character is increased, that means acidity is increased, the lone pair present on this will accept that H plus, and it would become, you know, anilinium form here, and this anilinium form is still connected to N double bond N and PH here. That, this is what I have written it once again here. So that will leave, if you have sufficient amount of aniline now, and then this pi bond would attack on this nitrogen. Okay, see, even for the slightest electrophilicity, the lone pair is the one which is initially attacking. To avoid this, first what we have to do, we have to create a complex like this, right? Then increase the electrophilicity on nitrogen here and add excess amount of aniline. Then the pi bond, then the electrophilic aromatic substitution will take place. EAS will take place on this nitrogen, removing out that aniline. Got it? So not directly in the first step we will see electrophilic aromatic substitution. First it will go for simple lone pair donation here. So I mean the nucleophilic attack here. That nucleophilic attack after words it will become NN coupled product, and that product in acidic medium will ensure removal of this aniline group, and finally electrophilic aromatic substitution will take place. And now if you observe, the coupling which has happened is between carbon and nitrogen. So now this is a carbon N coupling. Okay, so in coupling reaction with aniline, these are the two things we need to take care of, that first there is an NN coupling and then there is a CN coupling which is happening, right? And once you get that CN coupled product, that is the yellow dye which is the final product which you have. Okay, so definitely here acidic character would help, right? So initially mild acid has to be used so that it is not too much protonated, got it? Or else if you take strong acid, lone pair will attack on that and immediately it get highly deactivated ring, further reaction won't take place at all. But after the formation of this NN coupled product, slowly you may increase the acidic character here to make sure that aniline is removed, or even if you start adding more and more aniline into the test tube, slowly this will come out and you will see a yellow color dyes forming. Got it? So what are the important pointers here that need to be noted? If you compare aniline as compared to that of PHOH, right? PHOH will make a better reaction compared to aniline, although aniline is more strongly donating. Reason is PHOH will be forming phenoxide ion first, and phenoxide ion is much strongly donating as compared to aniline. Okay. Second, we should carry that in mild acidic conditions. Why? First, we need to have high concentration of diazonium salt, because if you recall diazonium salt here, pH N2 plus Cl minus, if at all I have H plus, it can become HCl plus pH N2 plus. So it will increase the presence of, right, diazonium ion. Okay. And second, we also need to take care that if you use even slightly stronger acidic acid, it will become an unreactive anilinium cation. So these two have to be taken care of. So what is the best pH we can go for it? The best pH range is around 5 to 6. Important. Okay. Next, on reacting with this, what I said, first we will get NN coupling compound, which slowly gets rearranged in the presence of H plus and further addition of ArNH2 to give rearranged to CN coupling product. Okay, so it will be rearranged to CN coupling product. Suppose if I take secondary amine, in case of secondary amine, we might see both of them in quite a good quantity, NN coupled product also and CN coupled product also in a good quantity, significant quantity, both will be present, right? In the case of ARN here, we will only see CN coupling product. CN coupling product, no NN formed at all. Reason is, see this nitrogen, we have discussed this before also, tertiary amines, if you react with disonium salt, right, I mean if you react that with NO here, it will become very bulky because lone pair will attack on that N. So already there are two R groups with a phenyl group and one more group will come, it will become very bulky. So it will never attack from that lone pair directly. You will see this pi bond will attack here, got it, and we will get this compound, okay, and on removal of this H plus we should get back here, right, like this, correct. So if you see that, if at all I have to remove this H plus because this is forming an positive complex, if you go back to the mechanism here, right, in this mechanism you didn't see any positive complex forming here, correct, we didn't see any positive complex forming here, right, but in the case of anilines we will see a positive cation forming here, right. So to retain the aromaticity, especially in 3 degrees, so slightly basic medium can be helpful, so slightly basic medium, so if at all we have a base, that will extract the proton from here and retain back the aromaticity, got it. I hope you guys understood that. So you can see 3 degree diazo coupling to be found is base catalyzed, okay, that is to ensure the aromaticity is retained. Methyl orange, if you know, if you remember methyl orange, it is a combination of this disonium ion with dimethyl aniline here, correct, and dimethyl aniline. So on forming that, on reaction with that, from this from this para, you will have this CN coupled product. You can see this is a C and N coupled product here, and this CN coupled product in this form, this is a benzenoid form, right? This is the benzenoid form. Benzenoid form. So in the benzenoid form, it appears to be yellow color, got it? And as soon as it takes this proton from solution during titration, if you recall, this pi bonds will shift like this, got it, like this, and it will get this product, and this is the quinoid form. This is the quinoid form. Quinoid form appears red in color, got it. So from yellow to red, methyl orange will keep shifting, right? In benzenoid form it appears yellow, in quinoid form it appears red.